Welcome back, YouTube. Sensei Domino here. Welcome to the Spine Ticks After Party. Got some great stuff to share with you tonight. I have one TTM return, some eBay bargain pickups. I'll be showing a pair of Liebig sets, and I'll also be showing another group of the 1982 Topps Baseball Starter set that I started showing last week. But let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with the TTM. So this TTM has been out for over 11 months. I sent this March 17th, 2023. But it finally returned. This came from North Houston, Texas. Initials are AW. And this is a former Heisman Trophy winner. And it's Andre Ware. And he didn't use the pouch, but that's okay. The cards, for the most part, are in the same shape I sent them in. But he signed all 5 of my cards. Here is his 1990 Pro Set Heisman Trophy winner card, playing for the University of Houston Cougars. I also have a pair of his 1990 Pro Set rookie cards, first round draft pick, Detroit Lions. And there's the other. And here is his 1990 Action Packed. And I also got him on this Pro Set Collector book. I don't know if you remember these. Let me go ahead and show the back. But these were like little booklets. Try to be pretty careful with this. I don't know that I've ever opened this up, actually. Definitely want to be careful with this. And then the last page. Yeah, really happy to get his autograph on this collector book. I don't have too many of these, but I definitely remember them well. I do have the Jordan. I know that. All right, but there we go. 5 autographs from Andre Ware. After 11 months and a couple weeks, really happy that this has returned. So thank you so much, Mr. Ware. Really appreciate you taking the time, and definitely happy to add these to the collection. My father is actually an alumni from the University of Houston, so he graduated in the 70s, but I'm sure he knows who Andre Ware is. So definitely happy to get that back. All right, so as I mentioned in the intro, I've been doing some bargain shopping, sort of on a budget, since I bought the Mean Joe Green rookie and the 64 Mickey Mantle over the last couple months. So all of the stuff that I'm going to be showing here in this next group are basically bargains that I've found on eBay over the last couple weeks. I did mention last week that I've been picking up quite a few autographs, cheap autographs from the autograph den, and the rest of them have come in. It's like 52 or 53 of them. But I'm going to save the baseball ones for next week. And so I'm going to be showing the rest of that group here. I think there's 2 football players, 1 basketball player, and the rest is hockey. Let's go ahead and get started. This is a 1982-83 O-Pee-Chee. This is Stan Smill. And this one does have some creasing in it. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know how that says. I guess that's an S. I guess S-T-A-N. I was going to say, I don't know how that says Stan, but I guess I see it now. You got that one. And there's quite a few duplicate autographs. Not necessarily duplicate cards, but duplicate autographs in this group. Next, I have several Russ Courtnalls. This one is 89-90 O-Pee-Chee. Russ Courtnall. did spend some time with the stars. In fact, here he is right here on the stars. And another one. Guess this is a 93, 94 O-Pee-Chee Premium, or Premier, I guess. And I think some of those I probably didn't mention the year of the card, but make sure I do that from here on. This is a 96, 97 Skybox Impact of Russ Courtnall. All right, next, I think I have 6 of this guy. I actually have a return from this individual as well. As I think he signed like 4 of them in the return. So I think I have 10 of this guy's autographs now, but it's Randy Wood. This is a 90-91 Pro set. I imagine all of these guys are good TTMers. That's probably where these came from. But for what I paid for these, it was actually cheaper just to buy the card with the autograph on it than to, buy some stamps and send them off to these guys. So I don't mind doing it this way. I'm pretty sure these are authentic. Oh, sorry. So this is a 90-91 Upper Deck. That might be Upper Deck Canadian or whatever it is, because it does have the French on it. This is a Bowman. I think this is also 91 Bowman. Maybe 91, 92, I would guess. And this is 91, 92 Top Stadium Club. Next, we have 91, 92 Upper Deck. And what year is this? This is 92, 93 Score. Looks like he has a pretty consistent autograph. So that's the last of the Randy Wood. Next, we have several Sean Chambers. This is 92, 93 Upper Deck. He played with the Stars as well. This is 93, 94 O-Pee-Chee Premier. Keep saying premium, but it's O-Pee-Chee Premier. I was looking on the back of this. I guess he didn't actually play for the Dallas Stars, but he played for the Minnesota North Stars. Next, we have a 93, 94 Ultra. Next, we have a 93, 94 Upper Deck. And next, we have another player. This is a Sylvain Cote. I think that's how you say it. This is from 92, 93 Score. This one looks like he went off the card, and it is a little bit of a dying Sharpie, but it doesn't look too bad. And also Have a 1994, I guess this is 93, 94 Donruss. This autograph definitely looks better than the other one. All right, so that's all of the hockey. Next, we have a pair of football players. This is the second year. This is 1993, I believe. I can't find the date on this. Yeah, 1993 Upper Deck. Quentin Coriat. He was a high draft pick with the Indianapolis Colts. And I believe he and Steve Empman, they might have been number 1 and number 2 in the draft. I remember when I was younger, I had a Pro Set Power card that had both of them on it. But both of them sort of flopped. Coriat was probably the better of the two. And I saw this and decided to pick it up. Kind of nostalgic. Definitely a hot prospect back in the day. As was this guy. This is a 1997, I believe. This says Proline Memorabilia. So I'm guessing that this was a in-pack autograph, maybe. Or maybe it wasn't. But Rick Myrer, former Rookie of the Year for the Seahawks. Here he is with the Chicago Bears. It looks like it's signed in, it looks like a couple of initials, actually. But it's signed in a green Sharpie. So, yeah. 97 Proline Memorabilia. So, I don't know if this was an on-card autograph in a pack or this was a TTM or something. But it does say Mem 9, so kind of cool to get that. And the one basketball autograph that I did get, this is 2000-2001 Upper Deck MVP. It's P.J. Brown. He was a pretty nice player. Definitely enjoyed watching him play. Don't know how you get P.J. Brown out of that, but nice scribble autograph there. Still happy to get it. And so that's all of the autographs for this week. We'll be showing the other 30 or so next week. All right, moving on to another group of bargains that I picked up. None of these are really big cards, but I couldn't pass these up. This is a giant stack of graded SGC cards, and all vintage. And I don't think I paid more than $2 for any of these. So definitely happy to add these to the collection, even if for the most part they're all commons. Let's go ahead and get started. We have a 1959 Topps in an SGC 7. Bill Fisher, the Washington Senators. And again, he is just a common, but get a nice near mint copy of a 1959 for a couple bucks. Hard to pass that up. So pick that up. Another 59 right here. This is J.W. Porter. These are really nicely centered. Again, an SGC near mint 7. Get a better look at the card. This is a gray back. The one that I showed here is a lighter back. But I can't pass up a 1950s graded card in this high a grade for a couple bucks. It's a no-brainer. This next one, I actually didn't know this information when I won the card, but when I was doing a little bit of research on some of these players to see if any of them were notable players or all-stars, former all-stars, I discovered something about this, and obviously the name was familiar right off the bat, but I did not realize that there was a relation until I looked it up. But this is really cool to get, actually. This is a 1959 Topps in an SGC EX near mint 6. It's Ernie Johnson. And you might know the name Ernie Johnson from TNT, TBS, and yeah, this is Ernie Johnson's father. This is Ernie Johnson Sr. They are related, and definitely a fan of the Inside the NBA and the pregame and postgame shows on TNT with Shaq and Charles and Kenny Smith and obviously Ernie Johnson, Elevator Ernie as they called him in the 80s. But yeah, this is his father. So pretty cool to get this and find that out. I know Brian Basketballs posted a video, might have been a week or two ago, of Ernie Johnson doing, I guess it was maybe for like a Hall of Fame dinner or something like that. And he did this rap. It wasn't great, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I got to give Ernie Johnson credit for trying it. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting video. So shout out to Brian Basketballs. And yeah, pretty cool card to get. All right, next, this is a 1961. And this guy's definitely got an interesting name. 1961 Topps and a near mint 7. Woody Held. Yeah, I'm sure that guy got teased a little bit. Nice, sharp looking card. All right, I think the next 5 cards that I have are all team cards. And this one's definitely the lowest grade by far in the group. But I kind of wanted to pick it up just because this is a 1968 Topps and an SGC2. Good. This is the New York Mets team card. And no, Nolan Ryan is not in the photo, neither is Jerry Koosman, although Jerry Koosman actually pitched for the 1967 New York Mets, which is this team photo right here. But this is actually Tom Seaver's rookie year. This photo right here, so there's a rookie Tom Seaver in there. So that's kind of cool to get. And this does have a minor creasing. I don't know if you can see it right there. It's actually kind of like a Y. Kind of does that. Might have been stepped on or something. Corners are pretty rough, but no writing or anything like that on it. You can see Tug McGraw, Tom Seaver right there. Got Jerry Koosman. So that's kind of cool. But I believe Tom Seaver was the only Hall of Famer in this group. Actually did make a note, but I don't know where I put it. Yeah, I did write a note. Let me see. Yeah, Tom Seaver was the only rookie on the Hall of Famer on the 67 Mets. But they also had Ed Kranepool, Bud Harrelson, Tommy Davis, Cleon Jones, Ron Swoboda, Ken Boyer late in his career, Amos Otis, I think he might have been a rookie. Jerry Koosman was definitely a rookie, and then Tug McGraw as well were on that team. So I don't know if they're in the photo or not, but they were on the 67 Mets. All right, next, there's 4 team cards from the 1970 set. So these would be the 1969 teams. And we will start with a SGC 6.5 EX Near Mint Plus of the New York Yankees. And though Mickey Mantle is not in this, he did not play for the Yankees in 69, although he does have a 69 card. So he's not in this photo. In fact, there's no Hall of Famers on this this card right here. The most notable names, definitely Thurman Munson. But we had Joey Pepitone, Bobby Mercer, Mel Stottlemyre, a couple people that are in that image. And that's definitely a young Thurman Munson because his rookie card's 1970. So, although his 71 card looks much, much better. Still kind of a cool card to get. Next, we have a pair of Houston Astros team cards, different grades. First, we have a near mint 7, and the most notable Astro in this photo would be Joe Morgan, but also Jim Wynn and Larry Dierker. Dierker won 20 games for the 69 Astros, so they're probably in this image somewhere. There's the back. And also got that card in a 7.5 near mint plus. All right, next, I was actually surprised at how many Hall of Famers were on this roster. I mean, I knew all the players played for this team, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. But this is definitely the best team card of the group. This 1970 Topps Minnesota Twins in an EX near mint 6. There's actually 4 Hall of Famers in this photo. Got Rod Carew, Harmon Killebrew, Tony Oliva, and Jim Cott. And the team also had Greg Nettles, Jim Perry, and their manager was Billy Martin. So definitely a star-studded team. You can see on the back, Billy Martin. They won 97 games, 97 and 65, and finished first. And if I remember right, they were swept in the ALCS by the Baltimore Orioles in '69. But definitely a stacked team. And pretty cool one to get. All right, the last card that I picked up. This is several years later. This is 1977 Topps, but it is a Hall of Famer. Yeah, for a couple bucks, can't beat it. Got a near mint 7, Phil Niekro. And that's just a great image. Look at that. So I'll pick this up every time for a couple bucks. Probably pay raw what I paid for this slab, so definitely happy to get this one. Nicely centered on both front and the back. Looks like little off left to right, but top to bottom is pretty good. So there we go. 10 SGC slabs. And I think it was $26 shipped for this. So you can't beat it. So that was some nice little bargain shopping for last couple weeks. Really happy with those pickups. All right. So next, I have a pair of Liebig sets. Let's see which one I'm going to start with. I'll go ahead and start with this one right here. So there was a lot to write when I showed the Vincent van Gogh sets. I actually hand wrote everything on the back. I didn't want to do that, so I just took screenshots of the back, translated, and stuck it up on my computer. And I'll be reading off on my computer monitor while I'm showing these cards. So if you bear with me a little bit, it would have been almost a novel to write all this stuff. But we'll go ahead and start with the first card. So actually, let me tell you about the set first. So this is 1956 Liebig History of the United States 6-card set. It's S1659 is, I guess, the set number. And this is actually in Dutch. So I use Google Translate to translate it. So first, this right here is Washington crossing the Delaware, 1776. Let you get a good look at that. And there's the back. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip it over to the front and then tell you. Actually, let me move my camera down a little bit so you can get a better look at it. And then I'll read what it says on the back. So, North America, of which the Redskins are the oldest inhabitants, was already reached in the 10th century by the Normans, Eric the Red, and visited around 1500 by English and French expeditions. The French founded Canada and explored the Mississippi Valley. This region was named Louisiana in honor of Louis XIV. On the Atlantic coast, there were 13 English and Scottish settlements. The northern settlements engaged in agriculture and forestry. The Confederates established sugarcane, cotton, and rice plantations. The middle ones were trading. New York, with its 25,000 inhabitants, surpassed all other American cities. In the 7 Years' War, all of these colonies supported the English mother country against France and helped it conquer Canada. After the war, England demanded that they pay taxes to combat the cost of the war in Europe, and moreover, the colonies did not yet have their own representatives in Parliament. The result was the outbreak of the American Revolutionary War. Benjamin Franklin was the diplomat in this war. He persuaded France to support them. The famous General Lafayette went to America as a volunteer with many others. The army commander was George Washington, a wealthy plantation owner from Virginia. The Englishmen were eventually defeated at Saratoga and Yorktown. The illustration shows how Washington, despite the snowstorm and ice floes, crossed the Delaware River with 2,500 men on Christmas night of 1776 and chased away the enemy. So that's the first card. Next, go ahead and go to the slide. This is the Louisiana Purchase. Here's the back. Okay, and the back of this one says, on July 4th, 1776, Congress meeting in Philadelphia declared the 13 English colonies independent. One, Declaration of Rights, was drawn up by Thomas Jefferson and Franklin. The principles of freedom and equality were already in existence, 13 years before the French Revolution. In 1783, England also recognized the independence of the American Union, or the United States, States of America. The Constitution of 1787, which is in force to this day, regulates government. The central government has a Chamber of Representatives, a Senate, and a President. The House and the Senate together are called Congress. The President, who is appointed for 4 years, appoints his ministers without interference from Congress. Also, has the right of veto and is also commander-in-chief of the entire armed force. The first president was Washington. After 2 terms in office, he resigned to respect the spirit of the Constitution. The national flag is called the Stars and Stripes. Each star represents one state. Besides the states, there are also territories. Territories which, because of their sparse population, do not yet have the rights of a state. A new city, called Washington, was built as the capital of the Union. In 1803, the United States bought Louisiana from Napoleon. He would rather sell the area than see it fall into the hands of the English. The illustration shows the French Minister of Finance and the American representatives Monroe and Livingstone signing the deed. In 1819, Florida was purchased from Spain. Sorry about that ding. I don't know what that was. There we go. On to the next one. So this next one is the troops of the United States in Mexico, 1847. So the back of this one says, "What is now Texas used to be the Mexican territory. In 1835, American colonists arrived and enforced their independence from the Mexican government. 10 years later, they joined the United States. This led to a 2-year war in which not only Texas, but also New Mexico and California were annexed to the Union. In 1846, Oregon was purchased from England. The United States now had a continuous front along the Pacific Ocean, but in between stretched endless areas that remained completely unoccupied and not even explored. Building roads and laying railways became a national epic. The discovery of gold in California in 1848, of petroleum in Pennsylvania, the great natural resources of the country, and above all, the great freedom of its citizens, all of these caused tremendous immigration. Yet the original group of English descent managed to maintain the dominance and leave its mark on all those immigrants. When the American Revolutionary War broke out, slavery still existed in all 13 states. However, the northern states soon abolished this. They pursued an abolitionist policy. Abolition is abolition. The novel by Miss Beecher Stowe is well known, Uncle Tom's Cabin. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln became president. He was very much in favor of abolition. Now, the southern states left the Union and elected Jefferson Davis as president and Richmond, Virginia, as capital. All right, next, this is a cool one. So this is Lincoln visited Richmond in 1865. This is, let me flip this over, sorry. The secession of the southern states resulted in the Secession War. Secession is secession. The Union Army was commanded by Generals Grant and Sherman, and the Union Army was commanded by Lee. A 3-day battle took place at Gettysburg, and now the Federals were able to advance into the Mississippi Valley and encircle their opponents. On April 9th, 1865, Lee was forced to surrender to Grant after trying to save Richmond for 10 days. 5 days later, Lincoln was shot dead in a theater in Washington by an actor who was an avid supporter of slavery. The United States quickly overcame the consequences of this slave war. In 1867, Alaska was purchased from Russia, a desolate and cold area, but currently one of the most important strategic points of the world. The Spanish-American War of 1898 brought Puerto Rico to the United States, and Cuba became independent. In addition, Spain had to sell the Philippines, which was declared independent in 1946. In 1903, the Americans bought all rights and works of the Panama Canal from a French company. They obtained a zone along the canal from the Republic of Panama. The venture, which failed even for de Lesseps, was initiated by Colonel Goethals, an American-Canadian officer of Belgian descent, brought to a successful conclusion. The canal was opened to shipping in 1914. Since the War of Secession, there have been two parties in America, Democrats and Republicans. So that's a pretty cool card. Old Abe Lincoln. Next. This one says, Lafayette, here we are, June 1917. In 1823, President Monroe proclaimed the famous Monroe Doctrine, America for the Americans. This doctrine was widely accepted among the Americans. No European power should control any part of the American continent. The United States of America, USA, is the most important power in the world. America is not only the world's leading agricultural power, but also the world's leading industrial country. The American railway network represents 2/5 of the total world network. The Americans like to work with large capital, also produce on a large scale, and specialize every labor to the utmost assembly line. There is a great domestic market, and yet they have the largest exports in the world. This forces them to allow other goods into America. Otherwise, foreign countries cannot afford American goods. In 1890, the antitrust law was passed to prevent coalition of financiers or industrialists, which were usually aimed at preventing competition and driving up the prices. The American Trade Union has assured workers a high level of prosperity. Unlike Europe, they do not participate in politics. In the First World War, America entered the war in 1917. It sent troops and equipment in large quantities to the European theater of war. In the eves of the Americans, France always remained an ally in the American Revolutionary War. As soon as the troops arrived, General Pershing went to Lafayette's grave in Paris. An officer of his staff said, "We have not forgotten it, Lafayette. Here we are." All right, and one more card. This one is called Aboard the Missouri, September 1st, 1945. President Wilson played an important role in drafting the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. It is also he who proclaimed the people's right to self-determination. On his initiative, the League of Nations was established with Geneva as its seat. This league was supposed to prevent wars in the future. However, his own country refused to join. When World War II broke out, the United States remained neutral. But when Japan unexpectedly and without declaring war destroyed part of the America's war fleet at Pearl Harbor in 1941, the Ver states also participated in the war. I don't know if that was the United States and it didn't translate right, but whatever. In Europe, June 6, 1944, brought the decision. Then, under the command of General Eisenhower, the tremendous landing was made, which marked the beginning of the end of the German army. In the Pacific, General MacArthur had wrested from Japan all of their conquests. Only Japan itself still had to be conquered. President Truman then decided to use the atomic weapon. This is how Hiroshima and Nagasaki were destroyed. A few weeks later, MacArthur accepted Japan's surrender aboard the battleship Missouri. See illustration. From 1950 to 1953, America played an important role in the war between North and South Korea. In Europe, people are now also trying to strengthen ties between the states, following the example of the United States of America. So that's the first Liebig set. Kind of a cool little set. Definitely like the Washington and the Lincoln cards. And you can find a lot of these Liebig sets for fairly cheap. Some of them are more expensive than others, but there are quite a few of them on all sorts of different topics and whatnot. For really $4 or $5 plus shipping. So if you like some of these cards, definitely go take a look and see what you can find, because they've got thousands of sets really, and they're all really nice. So this next one I actually had to write out. So let me get my notes. This is definitely my favorite of the two. For one particular card, um, this is from 1904. This is Liebig Parliament Buildings. This is set number S790, and this is in French. And I don't know a whole lot of most of these individuals, but I'll just read what they happen to say on the back. Didn't do any other further research, so some of you probably know more about a lot of these people than I do. We'll start with, I guess none of the cards are actually numbered, so this is the first one I'm showing, but it's not necessarily card number one. But up at the top, this says Legislative Palace, and then it says Palace du Reichstag, Berlin. And this has Prince Otto of Bismarck and Ludwig von Windthorst. And on the back, all of this is talking about Liebig and stuff that you can use the meat extract for. But down here, it does a little explaining about the building and the individuals. So right down here, it says the Reichstag Palace was built from 1884 to 1895 by Paul Wallet in the Italian Renaissance style. Length 181.8 meters, width 88.3 meters. The building has 4 flat roof towers and is topped by a central dome. Let me flip this over. All right, so right over here we've got Prince Otto of Bismarck, and he lived from 1815 to 1893. He was a member of Parliament in 1849, president of the Prussian Ministry in 1862, Chancellor of the North German Confederation in 1866, and Chancellor of the Empire of 1871 to 1890. And Ludwig von Windthorst, 1812 to 1891, he was a Hanoverian minister from 1851 to 1853, and from 1862 to 1866. He was later the leader of the Catholic Party in the German Parliament. So that's the first card. And that's pretty much what the Liebig meat extract looked like. I've seen a couple of the containers. I'm not sure. I imagine that the cards weren't in the Liebig container. I would guess that, whoever you bought these from probably had these around the counter or something like that. Down here it says like for free distribution on the back. So I'm guessing that these were just kind of handed out. All right. Next, this one says at the top it says Legislative House Parliament, London. And this is Benjamin Disraeli, who is Lord Beaconsfield up at the top. And then we've got William Gladstone down at the bottom. And this building right here is the Palace of Westminster. The construction of this monument, the most beautiful and vast palace in London, lasted from 1837 to 1868 and cost approximately £3.5 million sterling. It occupies with its outbuildings an area of 3 hectares and 24 acres and contains 1,100 rooms. The highest of its 3 towers is nearly 103 meters high. Cool image. You can kind of see the moon peeking out right there. But a little bit about the individuals. Benjamin Disraeli, 1804 to 1881. Lord Beaconsfield, minister and leader of the Tory or Conservative Party in Parliament, is also known as a novelist. And William Gladstone, 1809 to 1898, famous orator, minister, and leader of the Whig or Liberal Party. Next, this one says Legislative Palace, House of Representatives, Paris. And this is, I might butcher this, Adolphe Thiers and Leon Gambetta. Let me go ahead and show you the back. And I'll tell you, with this little autograph Liebig thing right here, it was really hard to translate this with Google Translate, because it was having a hard time reading the stuff that was under this right here. So some of this might be hit and miss as far as the translation, but hopefully it's close enough. But this is the Chamber of Deputies. This building, called for a long time Palace Bourbon, Palais Bourbon, is on the left bank of the Seine, opposite of Pont de la Concorde. Built in 1722, it has served, after being transformed as a parliament since 1805. Period. I don't think that was translated right. The Paris style and Greek style was built from 1804 to 1807 by Poyet. The current room by Joly from 1824 to 1832. Yeah, that seems kind of choppy. But a little bit about the individuals. This is Adolphe Thiers, 1797 to 1877. He was a statesman and historian, member of parliament, and minister under Louis Philippe. Elected deputy in 1869, he vainly opposed the declaration of war in 1870. He was the president of the French Republic from 1871 to 1873. And that's all for Adolphe Thiers. Leon Gambetta, 1838 to 1882. He was organizer of the national defense in France in 1870. He was an influential politician, minister, and president of the council in 1881 and 1882. So there's this one. All right, we got three more. This one does have a little bit of writing right here. I don't know if that's like 777 or something, or just a bunch of scribbles. Who knows? I don't mind too much. So this says Legislative Palace, House of Representatives, Rome. And this is Count Camillo Cavour. This is Francesco Crispi. And there's the back. And so this is the Chamber of Deputies, or Camera dei Deputati, formerly Palazzo di Monte Sistorio, a former palace built from 1650 to 1697, according to plans by Bernini, has been used for sessions of parliament since the occupation of Rome by the Italians. And the a little bit about Count Camillo Cavour, 1810 to 1861, first minister in the Sardinian states, was the main promoter of the unification of Italy, and after its constitution minister of the Kingdom of Italy. And Francesco Crispi, 1819 to 1901, orator and minister, took part in Garibaldi's expedition against the Two Sicilies, which ended with the incorporation of this kingdom into that of Italy. Another look at the card. These are all, outside of that writing, these are all in really nice shape for the age. These are 1904. Can't really ask for much better than this. This is the card that I was after with this one. And I saw this and definitely had to get this. Didn't really care about any of the other cards in the set. I had to get this one, though. And this is, obviously, this says Legislative Palace, the Capitol, Washington. And we've got Abraham Lincoln and Ulysses S. Grant. And look at how young Abe Lincoln is. Look at that. Wow. What a cool card. And there's the back. And I will say this right here, this says that Abe Lincoln was assassinated in 1864. And even here, it's got his death date right there, 1864. But he was actually assassinated in 1865. In fact, we saw the card in the previous set where he was visiting. Where was it? Richmond? Was it Richmond? I think it was Richmond. Yeah, Richmond in 1865. So they have the date wrong on that. But let me go ahead and read this. So this is the Capitol Palace of the Legislative Congress was built from 1818 to 1827. The materials used were mainly marble and sandstone. The building was not completely finished until 1882, after the completion of the central dome, which carries the Statue of Liberty at the top. The monument covers an area of 4 hectares. Its facade is 229 meters long, and the building is 37 by 99 meters wide. And a little bit about Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, 1809 to, the card says 1864, but we know 1865. Leader of the anti-slavery party, was elected president in 1861. This caused the secession of the southern states from those of the North and led to the Civil War, which ended with the abolition of slavery. Lincoln was assassinated in, the card says 1864, but we know it was 1865. And then a little bit about Ulysses S. Grant, 1822 to 1885, General Commander-in-Chief of the victorious troops of the northern states, was elected president twice in 1869 and 1876. This is definitely a cool card to have in the collection. And I haven't mentioned this yet, but this is kind of like a gold leaf all around the sides of the cards. Just gorgeous looking. I mean, considering this is from 1904, I mean, that's kind of a high-end card, in my opinion, anyway. Definitely did a good job with these. And the last one, this is Vienna. This is Legislative Palace, the Reichsrath, and Vienna. And this is Count von Beust, and this is Count Julius Andrassy. I probably butchered that. Go ahead and show the back. Back to the front. So we have the Palace of Reichsrath, built by architect Theophile Hansen in 1883, is built in the Greek style and richly decorated with works of sculpture. The left of the building includes the rooms of the Chamber of Deputies, the right, those of the Chambers of Sagars. And I'm not sure if that's actually the right word because I had a real hard time getting that word translated because it's right in the middle of the Liebig right there. So it had a hard time seeing what that word is, but I think it's Sagars. But if not, hopefully somebody else watching this video knows what it says. All right, so a little bit about Count Julius Andrassy, 1823 to 1890, member of the Hungarian Parliament, was president of the Hungarian Ministry in 1867. From 1871 to 1879, he was Minister of Foreign Affairs in Austria and Hungary, and Minister of the Emperor's household. And Count von Beust, 1809 to 1886, was a Saxon minister from 1849 to 1866 and Chancellor of the Austro-Hungarian monarchy from 1867 to 1871. So that's the set. But definitely the highlight of this set for me is the Lincoln Grant card. Go ahead and go to that one more time. That's just a great card. So anyway, that is the 1904 Liebig Parliament Building set, S790, in French. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing those Liebig sets. I think they're really cool. And hopefully the translations weren't too far off. All right, so we're almost at an hour. So I definitely won't finish the 1982 Topps starter set today. But maybe if I can get to like 500 or something. Let me see where 500 would take me. It's kind of a small stack. Let's go to 550, I think. We'll go to 550. And then I can probably show the rest next week. Yeah, that almost cuts the stack in half. So we'll go ahead and do that. So I'll show, I guess we finished the last video going through the first 300. And then we'll go to 550 on this one. And then we'll take the next one, 551 or thereabouts, to 792 or whatever the set is. So as I did last week and each week I've shown some of these starter sets. I'll show the backs of a couple of the regular base cards at the beginning, and then I'm just going to show the fronts because the backs are all the same. But if we have any sort of like pitching leaders or any star cards or something like that, I'll go ahead and show the backs of those. Anyway, we've got Pete Redfern. Let me move this a little bit higher. Pete Redfern. Next, we have the Dodgers, 81 batting and pitching leaders. We have Dusty Baker, Bert Hooton. Dusty Baker will probably be in the Hall of Fame at some point. Definitely deserving. Next, we have Bert Hooton. Next, we have Steve Braun. Next, we have Dick Ruthven. Next we have Mike Heath. Chris Chambliss, nice player. And Chris Chambliss also has an in-action card. Next we have Gary Hancock. Steve Dillard. Jose Cruz, he's a nice player. Pete Falcone. Rick Wise. Aurelio Rodriguez. I was a big fan of this guy, Jim Sundberg. This card's kind of rough. Got some creasing and bends and rough corners. Definitely have to replace that one. Next, I believe we have some all-star cards. First, we have Dave Concepcion. Next, we have Andre Dawson. Next, we have Fernando Valenzuela. Pitched a shutout in his first major league start. Next, we have George Frazier. Next, Thad Bosley. Next, we have Jack O'Connor. Dwight Evans, really nice player. Denny Llewellyn. Next, we have Butch Hobson. Next, we have Mike Parrott. Jim Dwyer. This one's a little rough. Len Barker. Rafael Landestoy. Next, we have Jim Wright. Next, we have Bob Molinaro. Next, we have Doyle Alexander. Next, another nice player, Bill Madlock. Next, we have a batting and pitching leaders card, Luis Salazar and Juan Eichelberger. That one's definitely rough. Look at that corner. Centering's pretty bad, too. Next, I believe I have this card autographed. Got it in a trade with Adam's Card Closet, I believe. Jerry Don Gleaton. From what I know, he's a good TTMer. Next, we have Luis Gomez. Next, we have Gene Nelson. Next, we have Tim Blackwell. I'll definitely have to replace this card. Kiko Garcia. corners, and it's kind of got, yeah, there's a crease right there. Next we have Mike Caldwell. I believe he does TTMs as well. Next we have Dave Stieb, fantastic pitcher. Next we have Joe Simpson. Next, another pretty good pitcher, Pascual Perez. Next we have Tom Verizer. Next we have George Vukovic. Next we have Omar Moreno. Next we have the Minnesota Twins batting and pitching leaders, John Castino and Fernando Arroyo. Next we have Mike Squires. Pat Zachary. This one will have to be replaced. Spider creasing at the top. Corners are rough. Lightning bolt coming out of his hand. Next we have Bill Stein. Next we have Jim Tracy. Next we have Dickie Thon. Don't know what that is, but it's definitely something stuck to the card. We'll have to replace this one. Next we have Danny Boone. Don Cooper. Next we have Luis Leal. Next we have Elias Sosa. Next we have Marty Bystrom. Next we have Texas Ranger Future Stars. This one's kind of rough. Dave Schmidt's probably the biggest name here. Yeah, that's rough. That'll have to be replaced. Next we have George Hendrick. Pretty nice player. Next we have Bruce Benedict. I believe he does TTMs. Might be wrong. Next we have John Wathan. Next we have a Vita Blue in action. Doesn't look like I have his base card. Next we have Joe Lefevre. Next we have Juan Berenguer. This one's a beater. Pete Mackinnon. And yeah, this card's seen better days. Next we have the Astros Future Stars. Danny Heap's probably the biggest name on here. That's some minor corner wear. Yeah, I probably replace this one. Next we have Larry Parrish. Another one I'll probably have to, I'll definitely have to replace it. It's got some nasty creasing in it. Nice player. Another nice player, Darryl Porter. This one looks pretty good. And he's also got an inaction. Next, we have Art Howe. I think Art Howe might TTM. Next, we have the Chicago Cubs pitching and batting leaders. Bill Buckner, Randy Martz. Card's got some corner wear. No creasing that I can see, though. No marks on the back. There might be a mark. Might have to replace this. Yeah, I think that might be colored in. Oh well. Pretty rough as it is. So next we have Richard Dotson. This one's pretty off center. Next we have Jim Kern. I think he TTMs. Next we have Juan Bonilla. This one looks like it's a diamond cut. Got some rough corners too. Next we have Mickey Hatcher. A pretty good player. Next we have Ed Ott. Next we have John Mayberry. Mike Stanton. Brian Kingman. Ray Searage. This one's kind of rough. Roland Office. Got creases, rough corners. I'll have to replace that one. Next, doesn't look like I have the base card for this guy, but Steve Carlton in action. Old lefty. I'm pretty sure he does TTMs, but I think he's like $30 per. Wouldn't mind picking up his rookie card, getting it signed. Next we have Gary Woods. Ivan DeJesus. Next we have Kent Tekulve. He was a nice pitcher. Submarine style pitcher. Next we have Bob McClure. Next we have Ron Jackson. Next, happy to see this. I think this is the second checklist I have in this group. Looks to be unmarked. Next we have Hubie Brooks. Nice player. Johnny Grubb. Jim Anderson. This one's pretty rough. I don't see any creases up. There might be one right there. Yeah. Next, Paul Marabella. Next, Rod Carew in action. Hall of Famer. Doesn't look like I have his base card, though. A few more cards to go. Hopefully y'all have enjoyed this video tonight. Next we have Jody Davis. This one's definitely rough. Harry Spillman. This is definitely a beater, my goodness. Jerry Dubinsky. And yeah, that is a well-loved card. Wow. Next, we have Rick Rhoden. Really nice pitcher and fantastic golfer. Next, we have Joe Ferguson. Next, we have Larry Boa, who I know does TTMs. He's a really nice player. And we got Larry Boa in action. Mike Flanagan. This one's kind of rough. Chuck Rainey. Rough corners. Edge is kind of rough. Tom Houseman. Matt Alexander. Dickie Knowles. Next we have Toby Harrah. Spent a lot of years with the Rangers. Next we have Joaquin Andujar. Dave McKay. Lance Parrish. Nice catcher. Rafael Ramirez. Barry Evans. Next we have Ned Yost. Bill Robinson. This one's pretty rough. Reggie Smith in action. Got rough corners. And the last one I'll be showing this week, we have a George Brett All-Star. So hopefully I can finish up the rest next week. This is pretty much what I have left to show. So maybe about 150 cards or so. Should be able to get that taken care of next week. But hopefully you've enjoyed the video tonight. I just completed my third relaxing slideshow video. I'll probably be posting it early next week. I was thinking maybe like Saturday when I get off of work, or not Saturday, Monday when I get off of work, because usually nobody, as far as I know, is streaming right when I get off of work on Mondays. So it seems like a good time to drop the video, especially one that's going to be like 4 hours. So yeah, I might do that Monday. But if I don't drop it on Monday, it'll definitely be sometime later on in the week before the weekend. But hopefully you enjoy that. That'll be on vintage actors and actresses. I think I have like 50 cards or something like that in the slideshow, and then it's looped to 4 hours. So hopefully y'all enjoy that. But yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming to tonight's Spine Ticks After Party. And until next week, thanks for watching the video, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.